Well, I'm here because I'm a sociologist of law, and for the last 10 years I've been hanging around just watching what lawyers do all day. And what I want to do in my 9.5 minutes is compare the inhumanity of the public image of the legal profession with the humanity, sensitivity, and extraordinary hard work and dedication which I've observed in the field of family law. I shy off the word lawyer because it doesn't actually have much of a meaning in this jurisdiction. I think that it was a great surprise to me. In this jurisdiction, you are either a solicitor with a practicing certificate, or you are a barrister who's been called to the bar. But this term lawyer is getting used in very loose ways. Now that we're all frightfully efficient on the website and also don't have any money, there's a lot of a burgeoning of websites offering advice from lawyers. Well, just be careful. It doesn't actually mean a thing. Anybody can give legal advice. It's not a reserved activity. But that's not what we're talking about today. Why have I been hanging around watching family lawyers for the last 10 years? Really because when I first began to work as an academic advisor at the then Lord Chancellor's Department, now Ministry of Justice, and all the other things that got called in between, I was absolutely taken aback by the very negative image of the legal profession within the department, which is strongly interested in its work. Lawyers are always categorised as mercenary, making money, particularly in family work. When legal aid existed and was generous, it was always talked about as making money out of private money being made out of public money, being spent on private troubles. That the taxpayers' contribution to legal aid was simply being misused by the legal profession, who was stirring up hostility within technically adversarial system. I was very puzzled because, having taught young lawyers in Oxford for years, there were all these terribly nice people going off to do family law. Lots and lots of very nice young women planning to have their own families and planning to combine work in family law with family life. It just didn't fit with this extremely tough image. And when I began to work, I began by sitting with solicitors. I didn't interview them, I just lived with them for almost after finishing. And what I saw were solicitors working to basically make sure that there was a roof over the children's heads and the wherewithal to keep it there. And if you've got someone on each side, for husband and wife, trying to do that, then by and large you end up with a position with both sides trying to work within what a court would accept if by any chance, any sad chance anybody ended up having to go there if it wasn't settled. If you've got both sides with that aim, then you're pretty likely to reach a settlement. After that study, I went on to, at the request of the bar, to go and hang out with them, and saw very much the same thing, a bit quicker, shorter, sharper, but again, the settlement culture. And then more recently, I sat with judges in the lower courts doing family work, and again, I actually stopwatched them, and they spent 7% of their time adjudicating. The rest of the time they were managing, supporting, negotiating, encouraging. Again, part of this settlement culture which pervades family law. So I couldn't understand why MOJ was so anti. And I then worked on an inquiry in the health field and also saw a lot of family education. And I think it's structural. I think young politicians come in, their first ministerial job. What they have to do is have a bright idea for something which is clever and cheap, and a bit like does good as well. You've got to hang on to your job or get a better one, and you do that by brownie points at number 10, which are usually very closely related to whether what you're doing is improving matters in the polls. And what you're looking for is something which is better, quicker, cheaper. And in actual fact, that's almost impossible to find. You can get 2 out of the 3 if you're lucky. But if some change that you're proposing is going to be quicker and cheaper, then it's pretty unlikely to be better. So these sort of ideas get churned around, civil servants do their best, but finally silly changes are made, and what happens is the people who object are the people at the coalface, they're the doctors and the lawyers or the teachers, and therefore they are always seen as troublemakers and complaining. But I have been absolutely amazed, sitting with young barristers in family work, sitting with young sort of public school boys, closeted in a conference room all day with, I remember one case, a Glaswegian, alcoholic, drug-using mother of 5 children who was quite convinced she was going to take her children home at the end of the day. And this young chap sitting with her for hours after the decision was taken that they would not come home with her, unpaid time and legal aid fund, just giving her some self-respect, giving her the courage to carry on. And I'm amazed by the delicacy with which barristers deal with the question of financial disclosure, financial management, in-divorce settlements, looking how to make the best use of what's on the table, never accusing anybody of lying, also saying, could you just clarify that bank account that you pay money? It's just done with such grace and charm and respect for the clients that it enables people to be brave and say things which they otherwise wouldn't. So I'm going in a couple of minutes just give you one small actual example of a woman barrister. She was actually in her 40s with a client who had severe mental health issues, who was about to lose her 5-year-old daughter. This child was a care order, the child was freed for adoption, and it was a question of whether she could see the child a few more times before the adoption went through. There was no guarantee of open adoption. So the woman is clearly desperately distressed. They arrive at court, it's crowded, people are crashing around. The barrister manages to find a quiet corner, sits with her, talks to her about her new scarf, about all this piece of paper, and then says, oh, and have you got this? You've got lots of bits of paper. Have you got that yellow one? And this is the care plan. So she makes sure she's seen it. She then carefully checks how the mum would like her mental state referred to. The woman just says, well, I'm schizophrenic, aren't you? You're happy for you to use that. And then the barrister talks about whether she should actually give evidence, whether the mother should give evidence. And she said that I can, I think, argue that we could do all of this just on the lawyers talking on bits of paper, and you don't have to speak because you might find it distressing. But I want to make sure that's what you want. And the mum says, no, I don't want them to think I don't care, I don't speak. But clearly, it would have been a disaster. And she carefully, gently says to her, well, people do, they sometimes ask quite tough questions. So the mum comes back and says, do you do that? Do you ask tough questions? Do you rattle people? And this barrister very gently says, well, sometimes I have to ask hard questions, but I don't set out to rattle people. You may find what the local authority people say to you makes you feel calm, or you may get very upset. So let's think about it, let's check. She said, while I'm working on this case, I'm just sitting in chambers, I'm thinking about it, thinking of the best way of doing things, but it's important that I talk to you about it and that you decide how we should deal with this. But it's this gentle, thoughtful calming of this very distressed mother. Then the barrister goes off to try and negotiate with the local authority and co. She meets the guardian and has a very sort of tense, complicated conversation about whether mother should give evidence. She then meets counsel for the local authority in the corridor, quite surprised to find it's a chap from her chambers, and they negotiate about terms of contact. And the barrister's quite clever. She's saying, oh, you know, it might help the local authority if they were thought to be being reasonable and helpful. And, you know, her colleague on the other side sort of laughs and says, you know, nice try. And then, of course, then the barrister I was with says very loudly, stage whisper, he wasn't from my chambers, I'd just kick him. You know, you see the other side of the work that's being done. It's this sort of badinage is, it can be horribly misunderstood, but actually it's tension reducing for the barrister. This colleague who she's up against is actually the friendliest face she's going to see all day. So it's not easy, and they do pretty damn well, I'd say.